Hey, everybody. Let's keep building the team, talking about what different people can do for election violence prevention. Let's pretend for a minute that you're a word person. Word people are people who have the ability to use verbal or written language really, really well when they are explaining things or trying to build relationships using either written word or spoken word. They're able to do that very fluently, very clearly, and very easily. So, what does a word person do to prevent election violence? One of the things you could do is write a series for a local publication, focusing on encouraging peaceful elections and giving people practical information about how they can make sure that the election cycle remains nonviolent. Another thing you might be able to do is go to a pre-existing community group and talk with them about voter and civic education, remembering that voter education is about the voting process itself. How do I register? What is voting like? How do I know what's going to be on the ballot? And then civic education is about nonviolent alternatives. So looking at things like, how do I communicate with my representatives? How do I use the media to my advantage? How do I have a nonviolent protest? What does civil disobedience actually look like? So bringing any of those messages to a pre-existing community group. Maybe you're going to write to existing organizations and explain the importance of a community forum. For example, does your local community have an interfaith council, or is there a group that is already gathering people from across the political spectrum? You could write to this existing group in your local area and say, I know that you are already bringing groups of people together, and it would be very easy to use that community forum specifically for the purpose of election violence prevention. Let me point you to some resources that could help you to do that. You might speak to existing groups instead, just about the importance of building relationships with other existing groups. So that's that piece about creating resilient communities, communities where there are lots of connections from one subgroup to another subgroup, and just explaining why that matters in terms of interrupting rumors and preventing extremism and that sort of thing, so that people understand that they are preventing violence when they build those one-on-one relationships with people who are different. You could write a letter to your local police department. And as you're writing, that could actually be a lot of different things. It could be an informative letter in which you're talking about election violence and explaining the risk factors, and then what the security sector's role in this might be. Or it could be a questioning letter. I would love to know what kind of training you have in de-escalating violent situations. Or it could just be a relational letter. Remembering that part of what's important is for the police department to experience itself as part of the community. You could simply write a letter and say, I wanted you to know that I appreciate your work, and here's who I am, and here's what my life is like, and I, wanted to introduce myself as a member of your community. And then one last possibility is to take a look at that Braver Angels Trustworthy Elections report that I keep talking about, that report that's all about election administration and election monitoring and bipartisan solutions to the elections in our country. And then write about it for local or online publications. Spread the word, write some things and tell people how the Braver Angels Trustworthy Elections report came about and what it's for and what it says, and point people in that direction. All of these are examples of election violence prevention, all things that word people might do. And next time we talk, we'll take another one from building the team. And next time we're going to talk about prayer people.